Good morning, everyone. You know, during my college days, I was at West Virginia University. I was part of a campus fellowship. And one evening after a meeting, we were standing around talking. And all of a sudden, one of our friends, a co-ed, walks up to us and said, "You're never going to believe what Jack just said to me." And so we asked her, "Well, what did Jack say?" And she said, "Well, Jack said God told him that they were supposed to get married." Well, we kind of all rolled our eyes, and then we said, "And what did you say to Jack?" She said, "Well, I told Jack not to hold his breath, that God hadn't said a word to me about it." I think we've probably all heard some stories like that have raised our eyebrows, where someone said that, you know, they heard God tell them to do this or heard God tell them to do that, and we wonder, what do we make of that? You know, how does God speak to us, and what is that really like? You know, Jesus said this in John chapter 10, verse 27, "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me." Now, that's what we're going to be talking about this week in our devotional study on learning to live and love like Jesus. It's the third chapter, which is entitled Listening and Responding. And I want to read to you a quote that I think is very insightful. The author says, "Hearing the voice of God is really quite simple. If you're a follower of Jesus, you already hear. Jesus' sheep hear Jesus' voice. So if you're a follower and you don't hear, it means either that Jesus was wrong, or that he was lying, or that you are hearing his voice and you're just not recognizing it. Jesus assumes that you'll hear him, and he wants you to have confidence in his hearing." Now, that's what we're going to be talking about this week. We're going to be talking about how we can gain confidence in knowing that we really are discerning and hearing the voice of God. The author goes on to use an illustration that I find very helpful. He said that during those biblical days that the shepherds would herd all of their sheep into a common sheep pen rather than having, you know, individual sheep pens. It was a cost-saving measure to put them all into one. And then in the morning, shepherd number one would get up and he would say, "Okay, guys, follow me." And his sheep would recognize his voice and they would follow him. And then shepherd number two would come up and he'd say, "Okay, my guys, follow me." And his sheep would recognize his voice and they would follow him. And that's what we're going to be looking at in this chapter and over the course of this week, is how we can learn to truly discern the voice of God. So here's what I'd like you to do before tomorrow. I want you to just spend a few minutes in quiet meditation, just asking yourself, have I ever had that sense? Maybe in church, maybe out in a walk, could have been any place, but you felt that sense that God was trying to speak to you. And then, what was it that made you think it was God's voice? Have a good day.